Good morning. This is Bill from out of Europa, Naples, and today I have this 2015 Mercedes-Benz SL550 Roadster. The SL goes back a long way. It goes back to 1954. It stands for Sport Lightweight, or at least the German version of that. So it definitely doesn't describe my ex-girlfriend. But that said, it does describe what these cars are up to a point. In 1954, this car, or at least its variant, you'll remember that car. It was a gull wing. They're considered rather collectible today. They also made a Roadster, but of course the gull wing was quite an iconic car. I think Andy Warhol even, memorialized that in one of his works. But anyway, so from that one onward, they were, sporty and lightweight. At a certain point, they kind of dumped the lightweight and just went with sporty. But the one thing they have been consistent with all through the years is unapologetic, sporty transport for very affluent people. And that continues with this car here today, this current generation. Again, this is a 2015 model. Would have had a sticker price in the $120,000 range. So this is not for the timid. It is sort of the Mercedes-Benz engineers showing off. The SL is truly the jewel of their lineup in terms of, the car with the most lineage, the most ancestry, the most, look at the flies. Look at the damn, God, I hate them. Flies. Anyway, the car with the most storied past and, racing history and so on and so forth. And, okay, now maybe they're driven by Hollywood producers and, very hotshot real estate agents, but they still do maintain much of that original, design philosophy, which was, really making a no-compromises car that's an absolute blast to drive, that uses the latest technology and, lets you get from point A to point B at a very high rate of speed, safely and comfortably. And this car does do all of those things. You can see up front, it's got the Distronic Cruise, so it has this sort of flat Mercedes star, sort of interesting the way that is. Of course, that is a radar unit right behind that. And what that does is, of course, it works also with the pre-safe collision stuff and the lane assist and all that. But, essentially that keeps the distance between you and other cars on the road when the cruise control is on. So you don't have to sit there. When some I don't know what it is about people in cruise control. You set your speed, you're at, 79. I once got from a cop, you go 9 over, they're never going to stop you. So I'm pretty religious about that, unless I'm being an idiot. So I'm at 79. You come up, you pass some guy, he gets behind you, then he passes you, and then you have to pass him again, and then he passes you. He can't keep a constant speed. And I mean, we're talking modern cars that definitely have cruise control. I mean, set the damn thing on the highway. There's no need to vary your speed 4 or 5 miles an hour, frequently enough to to annoy people. So inevitably, if I'm in a car like this, I'll do some 140 mile an hour blast just to get away from him, or maybe pull in for a cup of coffee. But either way, for God's sake, people, keep your cruise control at the same damn speed. Anyway, it also has these very fancy, adaptive, intelligent headlights here. The engineering in these things, looks like it's been used to build a building in Dubai or something. There's LEDs everywhere. They're super high intensity. They adapt to the road, to the ride height, to the conditions. Very, very clever headlights. You also have some more traditional LEDs at the bottom. Because this has the sport wheels, the package, it's got these big AMG 5 stars, huge dinner plate, bigger than a dinner plate, vented discs behind it with the gray calipers with the logo. Great looking wheels on this car. Those little side slats, that's a styling cue that goes back and back and back. Mercedes had it for years, using them on the hood and the fenders. It wouldn't be an SL without those. There's some debate on the styling of this car. Some people call it kind of inelegant. They say it looks like two different people designed the front and the back, and they only got together at the tail end. I think that's a little bit harsh, but of course, more flies, more damn flies. Mercedes does set the standard very high for these cars, so they really do have a lot to live up to. Is the styling handsome or not? I like it. I think it makes a great impact. If you don't, I certainly couldn't blame you. You see it has big twice pipes there at the bottom. That lets that 429 horsepower twin turbocharged V8 breathe, a monster under the hood of this thing. And everything just nice and lovely. So I'm going to show you two things. We're going to get inside the trunk with the top up. That's a little pinch, and of course it lifts it for you because you just wouldn't want to expend the energy. This little partition here, you can raise that. The old ones used to be awkward. This one is not. It's got some built-in elastic thing that's really nice, so makes it easy to raise the partition. Now you can see you have a nice big deep trunk. I've got my camera in there. You're going to get golf clubs in there. Absolutely no problem. Suitcases, overnight stuff, whatever you can fit in there, and then get this partition over, which frankly is quite a lot. You'll be able to then put the top down on top of it. So it works really, really well. And you do get a little bit of access here to whatever you have in there. So make sure you got the zippers and pockets aiming out that way. And of course, to lower it, you just press that guy and down it goes. So, all right, let's lower the roof. One thing I noticed earlier when I was lowering the roof is that when I do it this way remotely with the key, I don't think it puts the windows down, which I find really annoying. And let's see if that really is true. So to do it remotely, I'm going to press and hold the unlock button. All right, you can see the windows go down, only the rears, the fronts kind of start. Little flaps come up, and this big aluminum, in fact, the whole car is aluminum, but that top zips back in a hurry. I mean, that thing is hauling ass. Very, very fast, certainly quick enough to be used at a stoplight. And look at that, sure enough, the windows do stay up, so I find that intensely annoying. Let me see if I hit the unlock again, if it'll run those down. Ah, there we go. All right, not too shabby. So now you have a fantastic two-seat open Roadster. So this is kind of nice. It's like, you know, you have the gull wing and the Roadster in one. You can see really, you know, puts you on display. You got a big open cockpit area. You got some really neat stuff going on. Back here is a very cool automatic windscreen. We'll get into that in a minute. But I think the car definitely becomes more handsome with the top down. All right, so let's go in the trunk now. And you can see how it's going to work. So there it is. There's the folding hardtop with the panoramic top, by the way. Doesn't have the magic sky. It's like a $2,500 option, that thing. It sort of, you know, LCD-wise can darken or lighten the tint on the window to become impenetrable by light, or, you know, very crystal clear. It's a nice option, but it really is an awful lot of money when a manual sunscreen does exactly the same thing. Anyway, so by lifting up the roof, the trunk, the roof lifts up for you. You can now raise that partition. You can get to your cargo. You put the partition back. Press that little guy there. Down goes the roof. And in fact, down goes the whole thing when you want it. So very, very clever system. That was incorporated on the last SL and kept, you know, kept it through this one. Works nice and very easy to use. So good way to get to your cargo. And have a look under the hood. Here, there's ventilated seats going. That's, you know, again, that's the kind of stuff Mercedes does. That's a nice touch. It's blowing ventilated air through the seats when it knows you're getting ready to get in it. Get everything sort of nice and cool and ready for you. Okay, here is a magical 4.7 liter twin turbo light alloy V8. Again, was it 459 or 429? Horsepower ratings are getting all wacky these days. Whatever the hell it is, it's a lot, and this thing hauls ass. It's absolutely amazing motor. You know, you hammer the throttle. There's like this half-second pause where the car's sort of saying, all right, you sure you want to do, are you ready? And then wham, the turbos suck in all this air. The whole thing spools up and explodes and moves forward. So it is an epic event to hammer this car, which we're going to do in a minute. We'll have a little fun with that. Anyway, very nice under the hood, all very proper. This thing has just 14,000 miles on it, so it's pretty clean. And that is a fantastic bit of Mercedes engineering under the hood of this thing. Let the pickle forks in the mirror. Of course, it does have keyless go. That's old news now. It's on every Kia. But you see, you press that, it locks, folds in the mirror, put your hands, and it opens right up. So, all right. See, our ventilated seat is on. Gonna start it. This has keyless go, foot on the brake, start, stop, and turn down the music. I want you to see this. This thing is cool as hell. Here is the retractable windscreen. So press a button there in the center console and that thing comes up. Works really nice and you know, keeps the wind noise down when you're having a conversation with your broker or real estate agent or you know, whoever you happen to be talking to, drug connection, whatever. That's going to make it so you don't have to shout. You can see those vents in the headrests. That's part of the AirScarf system. That's going to blow warm air out in the wintertime or when it's chilly to make sure you don't get too cold driving around. Beautiful crimson leather in this car. You see the perforations in the seat. That is because they are heated and cooled. All right, what else do we have? And I didn't get into this, but I mean, look at the door panel. Absolute work of art. I'm a big fan of red and black. I think it just looks terrific together. Also that beautiful dark bird's eye wood. You can see these nice titanium looking controls, of course, memory seat. This clever little bastard, you press R, and now I can adjust the passenger seat with my driver control. And that's nice if some incompetent nitwit has left your seat in a non-symmetrical position with the headrest up or too far forward. You can very easily adjust it from your side without having to reach all the way over there and adjust it from them. Okay, you've also got, what do you got? Your leather wrapped, look, I'm sweating, it's so muggy out here. Leather wrapped, whatever the hell you call it, armrest, your power mirrors, your trunk release. Got a Harman Kardon stereo in here. You've got these fantastic looking vents that look like they came out of an old Boeing. Just absolutely beautiful. A very, very generous, abundant use of kind of nickel plated or titanium looking trim everywhere. You got a wood and leather steering wheel. You got a multifunction controls on the steering wheel. This beautiful, almost looks hand stitched, that airbag. Just absolutely lovely. You got automatic lights down there. You got this sort of leather-wrapped steering wheel with the stitching. Beautiful. Again, I mean, this is befitting a car that's 6 figures. I mean, you spend this much money on a car, you kind of expect these accoutrements. You can see it's got an analog clock and a digital one right next to each other, so you really do have a quick choice about which one you're going to look at. That little black hump that looks like a slug up on top of the dashboard is actually your Parktronic. That's your front parking sensors, so that's going to light up green, yellow, and red when your front gets close to something. And you've got a matching one in the rear on top of that little package shelf, top cover area that you can see in your rear view, and that'll do the same thing. Of course, it also does have a camera, which we would expect. I'm an electronic shifter here, so just press P for park. And get my seatbelt on. All right, and we're gonna test this thing for wind noise by filming with the top down. I think that'll be a fun thing to do, but first let's go through the command unit and some of my favorite features here. So of course you've got your navigation. You'd expect that. That can be customized to 3D or whatever you need. It does very quickly point out golf courses and gas stations, which are two things SL drivers really need. What else do you have here? You've got that's your desk, your audio. The Mercedes audio, they've really gone nuts, so you really can get anything. You got FM, AM, satellite, music register, USB storage, media interface, blah, blah, blah. Everything you could ever need to entertain yourself. Let's see what's on FM. Nothing. Down here is the direct controls for the Mercedes Command. This row of buttons, that's your heated seats, your cooled seats, your AirScarf, your traction control off, your Parktronic off. Here's your hazard switches, and of course the correlating switches on the other side. What do we have down here? Got suspicious looks from these kind of old ladies. I don't know what it is about older ladies, but they always look at me suspiciously, like I'm gonna go mug them and take their handbag. I'm not, you know? I mean, maybe it's the beard. Anyway, down here in the electric shifter, you've got your sport and comfort. You've got your economy, sport, and manual settings. We're going to put that in sport. You'll see it goes from E to S. Nice. If you want to be manual, one more, you'd be using these flippity paddles here on the steering wheel. This is the joystick control for the command unit, so you see I'm twisting it around to tune the radio, moving it up to get up into the top menu. Works really, really well. And this has one of my favorite features on this car, the massage seats. Of course, also your lumbar, your balance, your dynamic seats. But I'm going to give myself a little massage, and this tells me exactly how the other half lives. These people are really having too much fun on the way to work when their car is blowing ventilated air on them and massaging their rumps and backs. You just, and it's time for, you know, the people to rise up against the bourgeoisie. Anyway, that also can work out on the heated seat balance. I don't know what that does even. Let me see what that does. Dynamic seat balance. Oh yeah, I can tell you where you want the heat, so I'm telling you, this car is just fantastic. Also the dynamic seat, what that does is it pumps up the left or right side of the seat as you're cornering to keep you more, you know, firmly planted in the car. Really, really cool stuff, and nice if you're on a track. The chances of these things being on a track are pretty low, but if you ever are, that's gonna help. What else do we have here? We've got, yeah, we're in the sports setting. It's got, of course, very advanced, you know, controls for the suspension, for the transmission. We've got active park assist. When I start driving, a little blue P is going to come up there, and if it can fit me in a parallel parking spot, it'll move the wheel for you and make it all work. Very, very cool stuff. All right. What else do we have? Nicely laid out tach. Actually, I don't know if I showed you that. Let me do the self-test on the instrument cluster, because it is really cool. Open that up. Now, watch the way the needles self-test and the red LED stuff goes with them and then disappears. It's a goofy little thing, but man, it has me, you know, just giggling like a school kid. Look at that. All right, that's just neat. It's just neat. Anyway, there it is. Cool stuff. Let's go for a spin. I'm sure there's a million features I'm forgetting, but damn it, there's a million features on an SL anyway, so. So a nice menacing growl out of that 8-cylinder. You know, not too much and not too little. Just enough to let you know you got something under the hood. Beautiful light feel from the steering wheel. You know, for a sports car, you don't feel hugely connected to the steering or the brakes the way you would in a 911. It does have, you know, all sort of fly-by-wire controls and all that. You know, the steering wheel isn't truly turning the wheels. It's turning motors, or sorry, turning sensors that turn motors that turn the wheel. The brakes aren't really attached to the brakes via cable. They're just sensing how much pressure you're putting down and acting accordingly. Anyway, let's hammer it. Oh, we're back in economy. Oh my God. All right, let's get out of that for a moment. Nothing's gonna happen there. All right, there's sport, standing stop, and we'll just floor it and see what happens. All right, so the thing absolutely flies. I almost killed those pigeons there. It really gets up and moves, and that's what you expect from an SL when you pay that kind of money for one. And it does it really well. You also felt something there when the tires started breaking loose. The traction control kicked on, slowed me down a little bit. That's always a bummer. You can turn it off, you know, it'll pretend that it's off, but the minute the car starts breaking loose, the German nannies come back on and you know, try to spoil your fun. It also has brake vectoring for the torque, so it will apply the brakes to different wheels to slow the car, steady the car. Very, very advanced system that's going to keep you on the road, so which is a good thing, because I mean, you give a guy, you know, some guy living his dream. He's been driving Buick Regals his whole life. He goes out and buys this car. You know, all of a sudden he has 430 horsepower, and you know, bad things could happen. A really sad story here. About a year ago, a guy had a new Harley delivered to his house. Lifelong dream. Hopped on it, fired it up, and you know, drove the damn thing right into the garage and almost killed himself. Actually did kill himself. At this point, I'm rambling about absolutely nothing. I think you guys get the point of the car. 2015 Mercedes-Benz SL550 folding hardtop convertible. Incredible car, built for the affluent, and can now be enjoyed by you know, us second-tier guys now that they're coming on the used market. So if you have an interest, give us a call, 239-649-7300, on the web at mercedesexpert.com. Let's give it another little hammer here. Oh my God, does that just have a lovely sound? Anyway, I don't know if you can even hear me with the wind. Thank you very much for having a look. We appreciate it.